One night, there was a massive attack by a terrible creature. An exorcist fought alone against it. Although alone, he had enough strength to defeat all his enemies. But that night, he was unlucky. He lost everything he had fought for. In his next life, he was born as a third son named Sika. He was a descendant of a noble family who had expertise in the field of magic. Unlike his adopted brother, Sika has absolutely no magical energy because he was born by a different mother. He is also often teased and played with by his older brother. But even though he doesn't have magic energy, his body is filled with the power of the spirit. This power is of course very suitable for a former exorcist like himself. Sika can summon his father's love animals with leaves. He can also control them to avoid being bullied by his older brother. Now Sika is 7 years old, but because he is the daughter of a mistress, there is no one to celebrate. Most people just ignored him, so he had plenty of time to do things like make talismans. His brother Gray is very confident in his magical powers. He uses it to mock Sika, who doesn't have magical energy. That day, Gray and Louv were going to practice their magic powers in front of their father. Because they were curious, he asked their father to see them. The two brothers could control magic well. Then Gray tries to challenge Sika so that he also tries. Sika accepts his challenge by assuming that the strong always take what belongs to the weak. Sika shows blue fire magic to surprise them. After that, Sika told his father. He also wanted to learn magic, but the request was rejected because there was no history of wizards being born without magic. Only that Sika would be given a private teacher like his older brothers. When Sika was 11 years old, he tried to summon the father of love whom he had previously tamed. The summoning could be said to have been successful, but because of the influence of the power of his spirit, his form became that of a child the same age as him. When he was a teenager, Gray got into trouble with his father's slave, Yeva. Because Yeva made a mistake, he took advantage of the opportunity to abuse her. Knowing this, Sika immediately defended him. He would not let Yeva be abused by his brother. Then Yeva showed the little monster that was injured. Sika secretly restored the monster with the power of his spirit. Yeva thinks Sika has healing magic. According to Yeva, Sika is a great person even though others say she doesn't have magic. Sika also knows that Yeva is special. She realizes this because she often sees her eyes following animal spirits several times. Sika can only see her spirit, while Yeva seems to see something beyond that. After the secret was revealed, Yeva admitted that she could interact with natural spirits, an ability that Sika does not have. In his previous life, he wanted to meet someone who had that talent, but it was unexpected that he could find him so quickly. Sika asks if Yeva intends to use magic. He will teach her to use magic even though she doesn't have magic energy. Sika tested this by summoning fire that approached the nature spirit. He wanted to find out if the spirit would listen to him. After many tries, Yeva finally succeeded in doing so. The fire suddenly disappeared when he told it to disappear. Since then, they have been practicing regularly until it doesn't feel like they have been through a year. At the age of 12, there was an incident where a monster attacked them while the others fled to safety. Sika rushed out to check on them. Then when Sika wanted to tame the monster, everyone admired him and thought he defeated the monster with one attack. Eva. Eva 自身がやったことか。いいね。おい。セカ。毒鬼火の術。Thanks to their victory over the monster, they had a meal together. His father says Sika has achieved extraordinary achievements. He thinks defeating such a creature is difficult even for veterans. Therefore, he felt obliged to give him a gift. Sika had a request. Until today, he had spent time studying magic alone. As a respected member of his family, he wanted his powers to be useful. Therefore, he asked for permission to enroll at the Lodonia Magic Academy. His father accepted this request, but even though his father had the authority, Sika had to pass the exam with his own abilities. Sika had one more request, and he wanted Yeva to accompany him as a servant while at the academy because he had no talent for magic. His father had refused, but after practicing controlling natural spirits for a long time, Yeva was able to show that he could use intermediate-level magic. In this way, his request was accepted. Meanwhile, Gray protested because his adopted sister had taken away his opportunity to study there. Because he didn't accept it, Gray challenged Sika to a duel. The winner would enroll in the academy, and if he lost, he would have to leave the house. Sika didn't mind at all. They would hold a duel according to the general rules of the empire. However, Gray couldn't wait to duel with him. If he was challenged to a duel in front of the house without paying attention to the conditions given by his father, Gray thought that Sika was just lucky. He happened to find a monster and happened to defeat it, even though in fact Sika had prepared all this months ago. He investigated what monsters were in the forest and then ordered his father to drive him out of there. It didn't take long. Gray immediately cast intermediate level magic, but any attack he issued didn't work on Sika, using Esiola's amulet to lock Gray's movements. Then when Gray couldn't move, he threatened him while playing with his hands. In the spring, Sika and Yeva were about to leave for the academy. Because their father was not there, they only said goodbye to Loop's older brother. While the train was moving, Sika gave a magic stone to Yeva. Because the stronger Yeva was, Sika would also benefit. They were both really looking forward to it, but it didn't matter. Sika ended up getting motion sick. At the same time, his father was thinking about Sika. He remembered when there was a woman who left Sika in the rain. A baby with black hair and black eyes was once in this country. Therefore, Loop kept his distance from Sika, and Gray considered him an enemy. The first magic he demonstrated was not fireball. His father suspected it was a burning seed. Apart from that, there was something strange when Sika fought the monster. He felt as if the monster had been poisoned. His father felt guilty for his biological son, but sending Sika to the army of soldiers was very dangerous. Sika and Yeva have arrived at the inn. They will stay overnight before registering for the academy. Currently, Sika is the complete owner of Yeva, so Yeva hopes to be able to share a room with him. However, Sika had already booked 2 rooms. She also didn't understand Yeva's true wishes. Yuki explains that the girl likes him. Yeva intends to take advantage of his status as a slave to get Sika to sleep with him. Sika didn't believe what he said. After all, he wasn't interested in things like that either. The next day, they left for the academy. The first test they had to pass was to measure magic power. When they heard that Sika came from a noble family, people had high hopes for her, but everyone was immediately disappointed because she didn't have magical energy. Then a girl who came from an ordinary citizen tried to register. The result was that she had strong energy and mastered all the elements at once. Sika is attracted to him. At first glance, he feels that his appearance is similar to someone he knows. Because her preparation was too sudden, Yeva was worried about her written exam results. While Sika was fine, she tried to encourage Yeva to improve in the practical exam. During the practical exam, each participant only showed 1 element. The results also looked ordinary. Then when Yeva's turn came, she surprised everyone with her fire magic powers. Apart from fire magic, she also mastered wind element magic, which was very amazing. Sika was surprised because it was the first time seeing Yeva using wind magic. Next, it was Sika's turn. People already knew he had no magical energy, so they asked what he was going to do. Sika calmly showed the elements of fire, earth, water, and ice. She made everyone shocked and confused because her magic power was very unique. Apart from the 2 of them, the prospective student named Amiu is also very talented. She managed to destroy all objects with all her elements. The exam results have been released. Sika is in 3rd place, while Yeva is in 2nd place. Meanwhile, Amiu got 1st place. As a person who had taught Yeva, he did not expect to lose to her in the written exam. After that, they attended the entrance ceremony. On the way, Sika found a very suspicious magic circle. Just in case, Sika prepared an amulet there before they left. Then when Amiu gave her opening remarks, suddenly a monster appeared from the magic circle. They entered the school hall as if they were looking for someone. The students tried to fight the monster, but their attacks were useless because its magical abilities were very weak. From a distance, Sika will try to help them all, but it doesn't seem necessary because Amiu has already moved first. While Amiu was facing the monsters, Sika checked the magic circle to solve the main cause. There he finds a metal demon who has the ability to summon monsters. By using another dimensional gate, Sika takes one of the monsters summoned by his enemy. Then he tried to attack it using several talismans. Ordinary talisman attacks didn't work at all because the demon could use Sika's teleportation magic. Instead, it was cornered and hit by a deadly attack. For a moment, Sika looked dead, but in fact, he was still standing there without the slightest injury. The demon didn't understand why Sika came back to life, but he was more curious about why his sword disappeared when it hit him. From then on, the fight became more heated. Sika jumped to avoid the large sword that was thrown. Then he released very strong water magic. When hit by a puddle of water, the demon fled with his teleportation magic. Then Sika tried to trick him by pretending to hit his nest. Finally, he summoned a dragon to devour the demon to death. Mizuchi. The chaos caused by the devil was finally able to subside. A month after entering the academy, Sika found a goal that he had to achieve. His plan in this life was very simple. He only needed to make friends with strong people and get the good parts. Amiu has the potential to be the strongest person he refers to, but he has difficulty becoming friends with her because she is unfriendly and difficult to approach. Amiu was asked by her teacher to help deliver a list of names as an offering, but even though she used the opportunity to approach Amiu, he told Yeva to refuse the assignment so he could take her place. Yeva thought that Amiu was the type of girl that Sika liked, but because Sika said he only wanted to help her, Yeva was willing to help him. Then when the day of the ceremony arrived, Sika walked together with Amiu to the temple in the forest. Amiu asked what Sika intended to do. She thought that Sika was not satisfied with his slave and wanted to touch his classmate. Sika said that his relationship with Yeva was not like that, but Amiu still thought that Sika had done something indecent with him. On the way, they found a magic circle, and then the magic circle immediately activated and moved them both into the dungeon. In the darkness, Amiu attacked the monsters that were attacking. Sika also helped her with a pole stab attack. Amiu just found out that such magic exists, and since Sika comes from a noble family, she can use that as an excuse. Instead of remaining silent, they decided to look for the exit. Amiu said the chances of survival in the dungeon were very low, so even veteran adventurers would not accept such a job. After a while of walking, a stronger-looking figure came towards them. Amiu faced it with confidence, and because of her carelessness, she was hit by a fairly strong attack. When Amiu fainted, Sika took advantage of the opportunity to unleash her true strength. She summoned a giant centipede to fight all the enemies who attacked her. After which, she accompanied Amiu until she woke up, because her body was in good condition. Amiu asked if Sika could use healing magic too, but even though her wounds had been healed, Amiu still felt sick, especially in the head. It turned out that the pain was caused by the effects of a curse, but because Amiu didn't find any signs of the curse, she asked Sika to check in areas she couldn't see. Sika also didn't find any signs of a curse. What was clear was that if the barrier was effective, Sika could confirm that it was really a curse, so Sika would take out an amulet to replace the pain. Putting this aside, Amiu brings up her relationship with Yeva again. Amiu realizes that Yeva has feelings for Sika. It didn't take long for Sika and Amiu to move again. At the end of the road, they found the boss's room. Inside there was a giant monster called a dragon. At first, Amiu advised not to go in there, but because Sika believed she could defeat the creature if she was with her, they decided to just fight it. Before the enemy gets a foothold, Sika launches a pole thrust, while Amiu uses wind magic to attract attention. When Sika attacked him with spear-shaped explosive magic, then Amiu exploded him using her fire magic. That's how they were able to defeat the dungeon boss. Amiu immediately approached Sika happily, saying that the two of them were very compatible even though they had just formed a party. After his business with Amiu was finished, Sika went to the person who was the mastermind. Sika did not hesitate to kill him because he was the devil's spy who caused the recent incidents. Since then, there have been no more demon attacks. Sika and the others were able to advance to class without any further incidents. This made him a little disappointed even though he had installed amulets all over the academy. The next day, Yeva and Sika were summoned by the school principal. Since seeing him, Sika realized that the principal was not human. He was a dwarf who belonged to the devil class. The reason the principal called him was he told him to take part in a tournament being held in the capital. The school would send a new student named Mebel and one of his Sikas or servants. Knowing that Sika and her underclassmen were the only ones who were called made Amiu jealous of them. As the student with the highest grades, Amiu felt dissatisfied because she was not invited. According to her, casting magic on other people could be said to be difficult. Unlike a sword, if it was hit, the injury would not be light. Only people. It's just crazy who doesn't hesitate to direct magic, and Sika becomes the person he intended. As they walked outside the academy building, Amiu talked badly about the new students the principal had chosen. Because he didn't accept it, Mebel denied his words and then found out that Amiu was weak and talked a lot. Because he dared to say that, Amiu challenged him to a sword duel. Just by looking at her stance, Sika could tell she was as well trained as Amiu. It didn't take long. Amiu immediately attacked first. Mebel was able to repel his attack and made him lose in a short time. Amiu didn't lose because he was weak. He only lost because he didn't use magic, while Furniture used dark magic to strengthen his weapons. After defeating Amiu, Mebel warned Sika to withdraw right now. According to him, it's not a normal tournament without anyone getting hurt. Even though he was warned, Sika will still take part in the tournament. They left for the capital in a horse-drawn carriage. Sika asked why Yeva and Amiu were there because Yeva was her servant, so it was natural for her to come along. but Emi just wanted to watch the match without permission from the principal. When he arrived at the capital, furniture just left, while Saika was still on the train because he was still motion sick. Instead of going to the tournament field, Yeva took him to the inn, but he chose to go to the arena to see the notice board. After finishing his business, Sika said he would rest at the inn, even though he was actually going to find out the reason why the academy sent him. A few moments later, the capital tournament was about to begin. Each participant was allowed to use magic or weapons to destroy the amulet that protected his opponent. The organizers probably intended to use the amulet to minimize the risk of injury, but in a magician battle, its effectiveness was questionable. The first match was a match between Sika and a mercenary, and Denise felt lucky because she was fighting a noble announcer in the first round. She was very confident that she could kill 10 magicians at once before they finished casting the spell. Sika said that her condition was not good anymore. Therefore, she would end this as soon as possible. When Denise attacked, Sika dodged it at high speed. Then in the next second, she immediately threw him away. The audience didn't know what happened, but they immediately cheered because the fight was amazing.
あいつらは前衛から呪文を唱えている。
少し頭が痛くてね。だからさっさと終わろう。
では1回戦第1開始です。
さよなら。王の層。発見。
聖火ランプローグ選手です。何？目にも止まらぬ動き。何らかの魔法でしょう。
死ぬことはないだろう。
In the next match, something tense happened, where the participant stopped his enemy's movements and killed him in front of everyone. Even though the match had taken a toll, the match was still continued. In this match, Sika faced a witch who used a doll. Her enemies said that her doll was prepared specifically against witches, so he told Sika to quickly surrender while he had the chance. Sika responded calmly. He summoned a sickle ferret to destroy his opponent's puppet in an instant, after which his enemy was immediately frightened. Sika was able to return his words to quickly surrender while he could. Yeva was very worried about her master's condition. After seeing someone die in the match, he tried to persuade Sika to resign. Sika said it would be safe. In his heart, Sika thought that this match was like playing with a small dog. Next was a match between the furniture and an experienced magician. The magician started the fight using intermediate magic, but because the furniture could cut through his attacks easily, he began to cast spells to use high-level magic. High-level magic requires complex spells and long spells, while furniture can attack continuously without even casting a spell. Furniture uses gravity magic to increase the weight of the weapon so that no matter how hard the opponent's defense is, it can be destroyed easily. In the end, the furniture can approach the enemy and destroy the opponent's stick. With this, the enemy has no choice but to surrender. After his victory, people started to call furniture as heroes. The reason is because his name and appearance are similar to heroes in history. In the evening, someone sent a message with a pigeon. Sika openly asked the contents of the message given to the pigeon, while the person pretended not to know. Then he wanted to secretly try to attack him from behind. Sika had expected that, because he had been watching them lately, because he didn't want to answer her questions. Sika summoned Satori to ask his soul. Satori is a summoned creature who has the power to read minds. With this, no matter how hard he tries to keep his secret, the answer will definitely be found out. Through Satori, Sika can find out who they are reporting to. He can also know the purpose of the actions they have been carrying out. It turned out that everything was related to the hero, because the demon spies who had previously been defeated were watching the furniture and suspected him of being the new hero. The reason was because his birth year matched. The prediction, his gender and hair color were also the same, and his sword skills were very strong. After getting enough information, Sika gave the person to Satori to.
よくやってくれた。じゃあ、食っていいぞ。
Sika's opponent in the third round was a corpse generator, and of course such a person was no match for him. Furniture could also pass him easily. Then he told Sika to step down because he couldn't lose this match. Sika refused to back down if he wanted to win the match. He wanted to be beaten fairly and honestly. Next was the match between the Magic Knights and the biggest assassin in this tournament. Renas used protective magic to avoid the influence of Kyle's demon eye, but even though his demon eye had no effect, Renas couldn't stop his enemy's movements. Just like furniture, Kyle can control gravity. He can also attack with shadows thanks to his darkness element. In the end, Kyle won and advanced to the final round. This is the end of Seikyu on Muyuji no Isekai Tensaki Season 1 and 2. Thank you very much for staying on this channel and watching our videos. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can keep you up to date with our latest content. See you in the next video.